Hello, fellow patriots. Thank you for joining me again on Powerhouse Tactical Television. It's been a couple of weeks since I posted my last political video because some of you guys might have noticed in my last video, December 2nd, that Powerhouse Tactical has a new laser simulation-based situational training center that opened up early December. The laser simulation range is designed so that you can train in a situational-based scenarios without using real ammunition and mimicking the situation, and also recoil due to a gas-powered pistols that shoots light rather than live ammo. So even if you're not an avid shooter or expert marksman and whatnot, it's a lower bar for anyone to come in and try it out of all ages. Of course, if you're under 18, you need to be accompanied by an adult. If any of you guys live in the northwestern suburb area of Chicago, please check out the link above and feel free to stop by. With that said, let's get to some of the most recent news developments that are happening. Again, welcome back to all the Patriots. First thing in the news is probably most of you guys heard about it already, but for those of you that missed it, Kamala Harris, one of the now 16 candidates on the Democratic primary, has finally dropped out. This has been pretty much been getting set up for last a month or so, and I was just wondering, when is she going to do it, and she finally did it. Another candidate or potential candidate that I was going, when is he going to do it, is Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City, 8th richest person in the United States, has finally thrown his bid into the race. This makes him one of the 16 candidates on the Democrat side, and this number 16 is after 12 candidates have already dropped out. Like I said, Michael Bloomberg is 8th wealthiest person in the United States. He owns multiple different companies and news networks and things like that, but the biggest portion of his company is a holding company called Bloomberg LP. Now, Bloomberg LP, 85% of Bloomberg LP's business comes from selling processing system software and subscription services to different investors, brokers, and whatnot. Now, majority of the 85% profit by Bloomberg LP comes from China. So Bloomberg LP gets majority of 85% of its profit from China by selling them subscriptions and also gathering Chinese market data by the software. Also, the brokerage firm Barclay Bloomberg, owned by Bloomberg LP, also pushes many American investors' dollars into Chinese market. With all that said, it's no wonder Bloomberg's media companies like Bloomberg Media, Bloomberg News, which is the website, Bloomberg Radio, and so on and so forth, the articles that they write about the economy and politics of China, especially the trade war between Trump and China, the way they write these articles are quite Chinese bias. Not only that they're going to write articles that are going to be more biased for China, but also they will omit or downplay some of the things that are going on in China that makes them look bad, such as the current situation between mainland China and Hong Kong. Michael Bloomberg and his company definitely does not want to piss off China. Of course, we cannot have an episode without addressing the current impeachment situation. So when Pelosi was asked by a reporter asking her if she hates Trump, this is what she had to say.
As a Catholic, I resent your using the word hate in a sentence that addresses me. I don't hate anyone. I pray for the president all the time. So don't mess with me when it comes to words like that.
Do not mess with me, she says. So I'm not sure when it happened, but I guess when a Democrat politician is asked a question that they don't quite necessarily like, it's messing with them, and journalists shouldn't do that, apparently. And in return, President Trump pretty much fired back by kind of double daring the Democrats to hurry up and do it, even though you have no merit, and this whole impeachment thing is just a crazy insanity. But if you're going to do it anyways, go ahead and do it. You better do it quickly. And then one of the witnesses, what's her stupid face, says this about President's son.
The Constitution says there can be no titles of nobility. So while the president can name his son Baron, he can't make him a baron.
Apparently, for Democrats, children are no longer off limits. So the First Lady responded back saying that a minor child deserves privacy and should be kept out of politics, which any sane person would agree. Pamela Karlan, that professor, so-called professor who's off her rockers, you should be ashamed of yourself, and you're very angry and obviously biased public pandering and using a child to do it. Good for you, First Lady. I couldn't have said it better. Now watch this battle between Joe Biden and one of the constituents at a town hall meeting.
Access to the president just like he was. So you
got a damn liar, man. And you want to check my shape on? Let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take a nice detail. Now,
I didn't say you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack. Look, here's the deal.
I'm not voting for you.
Well, I knew you weren't, man. You think I thought you'd stand up and vote for me? You're too old to vote for me.
Apparently, he can't fight with Trump, so he's going to pick fights with some Joe Schmo down the street. Hey, at least he didn't look sleepy there. Here's an important news about what Trump's been doing. Outside of the whole impeachment, all these nonsense stuff, what he's doing as president, doing his job. He recently came back from the NATO summit. And for decades, the member countries of NATO have been freeloading on U.S. funds. So U.S. have been funding majority of NATO funds to keep up the military alliance against Soviet Union. Well, Soviet Union has been around for a few decades, yet Russia still poses a threat. There's still threats in the Middle East. So the need for NATO is arguably still exists. With that said, the nations that were freeloading, understandably, because U.S. is a good guy, U.S. was willing. We were willing to fund them as well in the beginning, because after World War II, nobody had money except U.S. I mean, they were all war-torn countries, so we couldn't realistically expect them to pay into this alliance. However, now, I mean, look at Germany, look at, countries like South Korea, France, Canada, all these different countries, they're very well-to-do nations. Obviously, there still are not so well-to-do nations, but all these well-to-do nations are still freeloading on the U.S. funds. So Trump goes there. He's been saying it for months that if we have to continue to fund solely with our money the NATO, then we're going to just step out of NATO because, you know, what kind of allies are you if U.S. is the only one paying into this fund? Many people in the opposition, the Democrats, have said that he's out of his mind, that he's not honoring his U.S.'s role as an ally. Trump and most conservative as well as libertarians have been saying that it is not our job as Americans to fund everyone else's war. It makes no sense when we have our own problems domestically, our own economy to worry about, our own veterans to take care of, and so on and so forth. There's still poverty in this country as well that we should worry about before going out there and trying to think about protecting other countries. I mean, essentially every country, it's their own responsibility to self-defend, right? But because nations like Soviet or Red China may play a bully, that's why we create these alliances. But when you create alliances, everyone should pitch in, right? So anyways, U.S. funding to NATO, Trump has announced that he's going to reduce it by 16%, which I think should be more, but obviously we don't want to shock the system. So 16% is a good start, in my opinion. And everyone else needs to step up. Just 2%, increasing their funding into NATO by 2% of their national domestic product. Democrats laughed it, ridiculed it. It wasn't going to happen, and when not, well, surprise, surprise again. I think it's a trend. Whenever Trump says something, everyone says it can't be done, and then a little while later, Trump does it. Apparently, it is possible. So at the NATO summit, not only France, not only Canada, the Secretary of NATO has all agreed that U.S. And accepted the fact that U.S. will reduce its funding of NATO by 16%, and most of the member nations will increase their share by 2% of their GDP. When something is logical, when something is fair, and when something is a right thing to do, how it looks politically becomes secondary with this president, and which is why so many people support Donald Trump. Okay, it's been a while, so I'm kind of rambling on and digressing all over the place, but I don't want to make this video too long, so that's really it for today. And like I mentioned earlier, if you live in Chicagoland area, please think about checking out our laser simulated situational training center. In short, we call it just a laser range or laser simulation range. So check it out, and the detail will be at the end of this video. Thank you for joining me once again. God bless you, and God bless this republic.